I really like having a plan. I have a calendar complete with alerts so that hopefully I don't forget something that I'm supposed to do. I like to make plans for the future, thinking about those trips, making sure we've got flights and hotels, making time to see friends. And here at church, too. Did you know that your worship team has been planning Advent details for over a month now, and I've begun to work on January worship? All because I really like to know what is going to happen. I like to work ahead, I like to be ready, but in so much of life, we don't know what will happen. Take a seed. Now these days, as I had with the kids, most seed packets come with all the information where if you read it, you'll know about how far apart you're supposed to plant each seed, how deep you're supposed to plant it, how high the plant is going to grow, how much light it might need, how much water, etc. Because we know all about the seeds and what they are going to do. But if you don't have the benefit of that handy seed packet with all the information you need, you wouldn't know what would happen if you plant a mystery seed. Now, the same could be said about yeast, Jesus' second super short parable that we get here. Without the little instruction packet on the yeast, you might not know how much to use, what to mix it with, at what temperature, what might happen to it, and it might unexpectedly overflow your bowl. So Jesus teaches us using these examples. Now, assuredly, Jesus is not an expert on plants because the mustard seed is not the smallest of the seeds, nor does it grow proportionally the most of all the seeds. And it doesn't actually grow to be the size of a tree, but that's another story. And any baker, especially bakers in the day of Jesus, would have recognized yeast from flour or from sugar just looking in the jar. They would know exactly what was in that jar. They would know how it works, how much they needed, and what they needed to do. They would not be surprised by the dough doing its dough thing and rising. But these short stories from Jesus, we can take with it that there is something small, and when planted, either in the soil or in some flour, it will grow, creating something more. In the case of that seed, a home for birds. In the case of the yeast, something to grow to eat, because we all know that yeast in flour will rise and make something delicious. So from these stories, we take something small that grows into something great. But the key piece is that it requires some action. They're not going to do their thing all by themselves. They need to be planted or worked into flour. So it causes me to ask us, University City United Church, are we about the work of planting as a church and as a community? Are we planting seeds of faith? Are we planting seeds of joy? Are we planting seeds of justice? And if indeed we are planting, what do we suppose God might be growing in the midst of our beloved community? But here's where we get back to the hard part. Because the hard part is not actually the planting or the working in the flour. though sometimes that trips us up. But the hardest part, I think, is actually leaning into not knowing what's going to happen. Because we don't know what's going to happen when we plant seeds of love or seeds of peace or seeds of justice or seeds of faith. We don't know what God is up to once we've planted those seeds. We don't know what's going to grow. There's no Bible commentary that's going to tell us exactly what's going to happen. There's no Google search that's going to tell us exactly what's going to happen when we plant something. But there is no question, church, we need to be planting. For Jesus tells us that the kingdom of heaven, that world we're working for here and now, not some other time, it starts with planting. And of course, we need to tend what we plant. We need to water it, make sure there's sun. We need to make sure there's right temperature. But it requires us planting the seeds. And it requires us leaving it be and letting them do their thing. Because when we plant these seeds of justice, of joy, of faith, of love, we have to do the work to get them going, but then we have to trust. We have to have faith that God is going to do God's part, and we have to some extent, let go of the outcome. Because that's where God and our faith comes in, as we wait and we see. Now, friends, our world is a lot right now. And there's enough hate and there's enough fear to go around. But our job, beloved church, is to plant seeds here at church, in our neighborhoods where we live, in our city, in our state, even in our country, in our world. We need to be planting love. We need to be planting hope. We need to be planting justice. We don't need to know when we are planting what is going to happen tomorrow or next week or next year as a result of what we did today. Planting things that could maybe bring those big dreams we have to fruition. Planting things that could maybe take our small gifts and grow them proportionally giant. Our faith invites us to lean into not knowing what will happen and doing it anyway. So as we look to the culmination of this stewardship time, we don't know what will happen, but we have to do it anyway. As we look to work at what is needed in our world, we don't know what will happen, but we have to keep doing it anyway. Because we know for sure that when we offer to plant what we have, our part, our seeds, we can plant them. God is going to do the rest. And as we've said this season, there's no gift too small, no dream too big, no seed too small, no plant too big. So I invite us to set about planting. Planting seeds, planting yeast, planting hope, planting justice, planting joy, planting whatever we need, and to let go of the rest. To lean in and to trust that God is at work using what we have to bring about God's realm here on earth now. Thanks be to God. Amen.